Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Mastering Online Growth Bootcamp. I'd like to welcome you to our session today, and it is brought to you by the Township of Langley. So I would like to say thank you to the Township of Langley and all of our partners there. You have been so kind to provide us with this opportunity to meet with you entrepreneurs and also to invite Ashley here with us. She will be sharing with you her skills and her expertise on e-commerce. Today's topic will be on e-commerce mastery. So I will ask Ashley to just introduce yourself in just a little bit, Ashley. Before that, I'd like to present everyone with the different tools that we had used today so that everyone would know how to use the current platform, which is the Crowdcast platform. So first, today this bootcamp involves 3 live sessions. Today's session will be on e-commerce mastery, and we will be covering communicating your products and services online, the best platforms to sell on, building and leveraging your customer feedback, and creating a website that optimizes conversion. Thank you so much, Ashley Armstrong, again for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm so excited to be here. I'm starting to see some chats in the box there. So if anyone's here, I would love for you to put a scale between 1 and 10, how excited you are to be here. Put it in the chat box. Let us know. Let's get this party started.
The chat box is on the right-hand side of your screen. Please put it in there. As Ashley just said, we would love to know if you're excited about today's. We would also love to have an introduction from you, where you're based currently, what is your business or what is your product or services. And if you have any questions that you have for Ashley, you can definitely put it in there too, so that later on we can go about answering right after the presentation.
Awesome. I love it. Well, before I even introduce myself, Colin, 11, yes, dude, Franklin, 10, 10 plus 10. Oh my gosh, I love this community. So hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Armstrong, and I'm the e-commerce hidden rules expert. And I help established product companies monetize their Amazon and e-commerce listings into a moneymaker with the traffic that they already have. And so really at the end of the day, I am an e-commerce expert, a go-to national TV expert as well, for the Emmy award-winning TV show, The List TV, that's seen on NBC, ABC, Fox News, 50 million views. It's absolutely amazing, where I can help companies like yourselves get a leg up in this amazing space of the e-commerce world. And that's just a little bit about me.
Thank you so much, Ashley. I would also like to mention that the session is recorded and will be shared in the Resilience program after. So please don't worry if Ashley will be covering a lot and you don't have enough time to take all the notes. We will be sharing the slide and also the recording starting from tomorrow on the Resilience program, and we will be sending you a link with how to access it in your email. So the Resilience program that I keep mentioning is a series of curated masterclasses and live webinars on diverse topics to help you learn new skills to grow your business. So we cover digital marketing, we cover ways to increase customer loyalty, cash flow management, fundraising, strategies to grow sales, and many, many more topics. So please do join the Resilience program to make sure that you can watch all of the content that we offer. To join it, click on the green mint button at the bottom of your screen. It says sign up for the Business Resilience program. And I would like to say a special shout out to all of our partners of the Resilience program. So they have partnered with us to make sure that everyone in their communities, all of the businesses owners and the entrepreneurs in their communities will have free access to the Resilience program. So thank you to the City of Campbell River, the City of Richmond, Coast Capital Savings, the District of Squamish, the City of Powell River, the Township of Langley especially, because you have helped us to make today's bootcamp available to everyone to see, the Sunshine Coast Credit Union, Van City, Yukon University, Discovery Foundation, and Western Economic Diversification. So please do join our program. Click on the mint button at the bottom of your screen. I would also like to mention that when you join the Business Resilience program now, you will be eligible to join our $10,000 launch challenge. It's a challenge that is there to help you either launch a new business or a new product, or a current existing product or service in a new market. So please do check us out and let us know if you have any questions. I think we are ready to start the session, Ashley.
Yeah.
I would also I forgot about this. There's the Ask a Question button at the bottom of your screen. If you have any questions at all, anytime during the presentation, do put your question in there. You can also upvote any questions that you are interested in knowing the answer to. And Ashley and myself will go to answer your questions right after the presentation. So go ahead and put in any questions you want anytime.
Yeah, please do. The more questions, the easier it is for us to know how we can serve and help you further. But first and foremost, that challenge, is amazing. And if you don't sign up, like that is crazy. Whoever gets an opportunity to do that, 10 grand for launching a new product or launching a new business and having your support and your help while you're doing it. Like, I'm sorry, but that's awesome. So please go do that, everybody. So that's number one. When you are asking your questions, I'm going to be sharing my screen here in a minute, which means I actually can't see your questions. So with the love and support and the help, we're going to have, I talk fast. If you haven't figured out that fast, we're going to definitely, don't hesitate to put them in there. We can interrupt as I'm going. We are going to do a stopgap in there during the training so we can get to some of those questions. And again at the very end as well. So if I'm not getting to you right now, we will circle back to you and we'll do everything we can to make sure that your questions get answered. So just want to make sure we put that in there, everyone.
Wonderful.
Right.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun. All right. So I'm going to do my best to share my screen and not screw everything up. So let's see how this goes, everybody. All right, so share screen, and we're going to share this one. And so we're going to see a tunnel vision for a quick second, and now I'm going to go over into my slide deck. So I just want to know that, can everyone see my slide deck?
I can see it.
Fabulous, perfect. So I'm going to go into presenter mode right now. And okay, so I know you guys can still technically see me in the bottom right-hand corner or left-hand corner. I'm not too sure, but if I have a funny face, I'm sorry, apologizing in advance. But again, I'm Ashley Armstrong, the e-commerce hidden rules expert, and I help product companies find the money they're leaving on the table through visual profitability method, which is using the science behind images and customer buyer behavior to increase sales and conversion rates. And that's what I love to focus on outside of all these other amazing things that we can do in the e-commerce space. But let's dive into Ecommerce Mastery 101 with me. Woohoo! You guys are so lucky. I'm so excited to be here.
Me too.
All right.
Excited.
Yes, it's going to be so awesome. So again, this is going to be recorded. You're also going to have my entire slide deck as well presented to you guys inside your space that you're going to be directed to afterwards. So again, I'm going to be going through it fast, but you can always go back, rewatch, and of course, get the entire PDF slide deck as well for any of the information that you want to have a little bit more clarity on. But what we're going to be covering is websites that are built for conversion. We're going to articulate your products easily, best third-party platforms to sell on, build and leverage your customer feedback, and then, of course, what's the next step after that? Now, of course, you guys know there's many facets to a business. There's many departments into managing, running, and operating a business. And the same thing goes for e-commerce. So a little bit of a disclosure. If you are brand new at this is going to be amazing. It might be a little overwhelming. That's okay. And if you are not new to this and you're kind of into it, some of this might be repeated. It might be a good reminder. And again, we can always come back and we can answer more questions. We can do more sessions, whatever it needs to be to help you guys move your business forward. All right. So websites that are built for conversion. Again, there's a lot more, but we're just putting a few of these out here to kind of get the ball going. If you're selling physical products, a physical product type of platform is the best one for you. So you got WooCommerce, Shopify, and BigCommerce. Those are some of the big ones. I know a lot of people who use all three and they all love them. You're just going to have to do your comparison analysis as to which one you like to work with best. Are you selling a digital product? You got Sellify, Thinkific, and of course Shopify as well. And if you're selling a service, which of course usually doesn't need to have a whole bunch of offers, you have Squarespace, Wix, and Network Solutions, and you can still even use Shopify and these other platforms as well. But again, we're trying to break them down based on your particular business model. So the layout of your website will be determined by what you're selling, and it's going to have all these three things to kind of get yourself off the ground and going. So this doesn't necessarily mean rocket science by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, we have to take it into consideration when you are editing or you're going to be building from scratch. So your name, a clear, concise statement of what you offer, and transformation outcome of what your customer will experience, which is, i.e., your value proposition. So here is a great example of an e-commerce company. This is the Honest Company, which some of you may or may not know. It's Jessica Alba's company, excuse me, which when she got this going, she got like no more often than she got yes to get this multi-million-dollar business off the ground. So push through, everybody. But as you can see here, perfect example. Number one, the name. Clear, concise, we know what it is. The statement of what you offer, which they offer real conscious living. And then their value proposition, which you shouldn't have to choose between what works and what's good for you. Pretty consistent. Now we're going to go into a service space. So this one is for hypnotherapy. The name, Program Yourself Thin, for this particular one. Again, these are just screenshots that I found on the web to provide you guys some good examples. Number 2, discover the mindset method to mastering your weight. And then number 3, my methodology is proven, simple, home-based, and will not waste your valuable time. You will learn to think, act, and respond like a naturally thin person. So are you seeing there's a little bit of a pattern going on here? And I think you guys know what this website is. We got spring, very clear, concise, logo, name at the top. Number 2, they're changing the world through innovation. And number 3, we are a global incubator, accelerator, and advisory firm that helps impact entrepreneurs, investors, and ecosystem builders build thriving communities. So I'm pretty sure you guys saw that there's a little bit of a pattern going on there. The people who are really setting themselves up for success. So let's go through a checklist. And again, I'm not going to go through absolutely everything here. You will have access to this entire slide deck a little bit later. But this is something that I think everyone doesn't realize how big this checklist is, but we definitely want to go through all of it. So 9 times out of 10, you definitely want to make sure that your domain matches the name of your website. And it's very frustrating when you have a very long name or a name, and then the website is just the letters of, the different parts of your name. People can very quickly and very easily not find you because of that tiny little mishap. Of course, your logo, you want to check the speed of your site, a heat map, and you can get free heat maps. And what that is you add it into your site so you can see where people are clicking. So if they're not clicking the proper button, or they're clicking a picture thinking that it's a button that's going to take them somewhere, that heat map will show you. So again, you can optimize your listing, or your website, so that you have better flow and easeability for the consumers when they do visit you. Member sign in, you want to clear product categories, you want to highlight your top 3 best sellers, you want to make sure all your images and content are formatted for the website, and of course for mobile as well. And you want to make sure that it works on all browsers. It's amazing how sometimes it works on Firefox but doesn't work in Chrome, or vice versa. Double check that. You definitely want to make sure you have pop-ups, you have opt-ins, so that you can collect people's emails and information, so you can create and build that billable asset. That anything that you collect for your business is technically a billable asset, which means it makes your company more valuable if you do go to exit. Your exit strategy, selling the business. And of course, you want to have a search bar if you have a lot of different options. You want to make sure you have social proof. You want to have reviews. The list just keeps going on and going on. Again, you're going to have access to this, but you want to highlight media placement. You want to invite shoppers to follow you on all your social profiles. Remember, you're creating an ecosystem. You want people to be able to find you on Instagram and Facebook and maybe Twitter, maybe TikTok. I don't know. Do you guys like to dance? You really want to make sure that you're getting the people who are interested in you to really hang out inside your ecosystem, because a lot of times they may not buy now, but if you hit them 7 times statistically, then they'll be ready to purchase. And of course, you want to make sure you have all the legal aspect of it as well. Your legal information, your privacy policy, your contact page, your frequently asked questions is so important. A lot of people don't do this. How fast does it ship? Do you ship internationally? What's your refund policy? All those fun things that people need to have clarification on. And when you provide your FAQ page, it actually also minimizes the amount of customer support you need to provide, which also keeps your costs down. It's always a good thing, right? Links to your supplier information pages, depending on the business model that you have. You definitely want to have share buttons on every single one of your pages. So if someone sees a really cool product in your listing, they can easily share it on their Facebook page, right? We want to make it as seamless and as easy as possible for people to become your ambassadors. Again, as I said, this is a big list. You're going to want it. Sometimes you're going to have a live chat option, which technically it can be a pop-up. It's an integrated tool. Almost all platforms have it. Sometimes even your calendar invites scheduling platforms that you're using also have this option, where you can either have someone man it the entire time, like Zendesk as an example, or it can pop up and the person can leave a message and technically it gets emailed to them. So it just makes it feel like it's a little bit more interactive. Of course, you're going to want to have product codes on some of your product listings. If you happen to have, say, like a clothing product and you have a whole bunch of different versions, but they look super similar, but they all have different identifying factors. So make sure you do have those codes on there, because sometimes someone can buy it, they get it home and they don't actually know the name of the product, but they do have that identifier so they can find the listing on your website. Of course, you want to have deals for people. You want to have banners. You want to be able to have sign up notifications. You, of course, want to make sure that you're minimizing your website as much as possible, so it's easy, it's fluid, and we're not confusing anybody. You want to be consistent with your color. You want to be consistent with your image size. You want to be consistent with your fonts that you're using as well. Of course, you want to show the payment systems that you're using. Are you using PayPal? Are you using Stripe? Or credit card? Whatever it is that you're taking, use the logos because people trust when they see those logos. You want to show the checkout button clearly on each page. And you want to, of course, apply breadcrumbs to each page as well to help people find other products. So we wanted to upsell all the time. Anytime you're showing someone to buy something, you should have something underneath and go, hey, this goes with this. So it'd be like a water bottle and a holder or a cup and a straw. Always upsell, provide other options that are available to get more people to buy more than one item at any given time. All right, so product listing. So that was kind of like a quick run through of the website. Again, I know it's a big list and you're going to have access to that later. But now let's go into product listings because we are talking about e-commerce. And e-commerce means we're selling a whole bunch of different things between water bottles and clothing and hats and shoes. And I don't know what it is, but it's a lot of different things, right? So we want to make sure each listing needs a very descriptive title with keywords that show up in Google. So it's optimized. You can use your Google Ad Planner to be able to figure out what keywords have the highest rankings so that when you're saying it's a hoodie, you can say it's a fleece hoodie, with drawstrings or whatever it might be. Very clear, very descriptive. And hopefully you're able to find a few keywords that you can throw into that title. So again, it's very clear on the website, but it also becomes clear and it can get found within Google. You want to really explain unique features that make the product stand out from your competitors. A lot of people put very minimal amount of time, energy, and effort into their listings, which therefore creates buyer decision fatigue because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know why they should be buying it. And they have to keep searching around to understand, why is it that I actually want to buy this thing? And why is this better than the competition? Each product listing should have a carousel of the main image so the consumer can hover over that image without actually clicking the listing. And I'm going to show you a little example of that, but I'm sure you're probably familiar where if you hover over top of a listing, you see one image that as soon as your mouse goes over top of it, it actually pulls up the second image. So the one might be a bottle all by itself on a white background. And then the second image is a person drinking from the bottle. So you can see it in use to be very clear and identifiable exactly what it is that you are looking at. You want to really make sure that you are having just the product itself and the product being used, as I mentioned before. And you're always going to want to show related product options or complementary products in each listing, as we had just talked about previously. And every single listing that you have, you definitely want to try to get at least 4 or 5 star reviews, at least one 4 or 5 star review minimum in every single listing that you have. If you have to entice your friends or your family to help you get that job done, do it, because that really allows the consumers who are coming to see you to trust what it is that they're looking at. You, of course, want to have call to actions. You want to have your selling points like free shipping, or if there's a discount, you want to use, of course, professional grade pictures and videos. And it's really interesting when I'm speaking with companies and consulting that are $10 million or a company that's only doing $1,000 a month. Both of them sometimes forget how important it is to have really good quality pictures. Because at the end of the day, no one is actually buying your product online. They're buying pictures of your product. So you really want to show up as best as possible. So invest in getting a great photographer. You'll not, be worried about that. You're just be like, this is like the best thing I've ever done for you, because it will last for the life of your business, of course. You're going to want to make sure that you have zoomable images because, again, they can't touch it, feel it, smell it. So having that picture in a large matter will allow the customer to zoom in on the buttons or the zipper or the pockets or whatever it might be for your particular product. Of course, infographics. I'm sure everyone's familiar with infographics. Usually they're very big charts with, arrows and, pie charts and things going everywhere. It's very cluttered. But what we're talking about is product infographics, which is really taking the most important information, bringing it down into bite-sized bullet points, as well as the image, and putting them both together. So when people are looking at your image, they clearly understand this is the button, this is the inside, this is the feature, this is the benefit, so on and so forth. And of course, you're going to want to have a field where you can change quantities, where they can order 1 or they can order 2, or you can even have a parent-child relationship on your listings where you can buy 1, or you can buy a pack of 2s, or you can buy a pack of 3s, or you can buy a bundle of product A, B, and C because you have complementary products. You're going to want to make sure that, of course, that your description is very descriptive as to who you're serving, how you're serving them, the who, what, where, how, why, and when. Very, very important. Of course, you're going to want to have an add to cart button on each page. I think everyone kind of gets that, but sometimes we just have to add it to the list to make sure no one forgets. Pricing information with potential sales or discounts. Don't forget to do your upsells. Don't forget to show your value prop. And of course, the availability for each product. You definitely don't want to be selling something and then messaging the person back going, hey, we actually don't have that anymore. No one really likes that. You're going to want to make sure that you're mentioning your shipping and your tax collection if that happens to be something you need to worry about. International shipping, of course, right? The materials used, the dimensions, the color, the weight, the washing instructions. You really want to make sure that you're clearly articulating everything the buyer needs to know in order to make that educated buyer choice. Available sizes, of course, you want to have your size guide. And really at the end of the day, if you are able to do this, I highly recommend that again, if we're talking about something that's clothing, you want to have a human representative for the size that you're selling. Now, this does take more time, energy, and a little bit of investment to be able to get it done. But if you organize it appropriately, you can get it done pretty quickly and pretty inexpensively. I do this all the time with my very high-end clients. But if you're selling a small, a medium, a large, and an extra large, and an extra, extra large, you should definitely have a model wearing the small, who's a small model, and a medium, who's a medium model, and an extra large, who's an extra large model. Because there's nothing worse when you are coming to a site and you're seeing a product that you would love to buy, but you don't know what it looks like on your personal shape and size of body. So that, again, makes that buying decision very clear, very quick, and very simple for the shopper. And of course, you're going to want to sort and filter options. You definitely want to make sure you have your customer reviews on there. Have a wish list option on your site is always wonderful because then they can come back a little bit later and it allows you to email them, get your email campaigns up and going because they have something in their wish list and like, hey, don't forget, you like this. It's in your wish list. Mother's Day is coming up. Share this with your husband, whatever it might be, right? Videos are great. If you can add a video to your listing, oh my gosh, the conversion rates that come from that goes right through the roof because again, we can't touch, feel, or smell it. So having an unboxing, how to use, who it's for type of videos on your listing that are short, sweet, and concise because again, we only have about 60 seconds that we want to be able to use up to really get the message across to people. And of course, a currency converter if again, that is needed. So additional value adds that you can think about for your website. Again, I know this is a very big list and you're going to have access to this, but you want educational pages, tutorial pages, company events, a blog for recent events or news that you're doing. Of course, you want a comment section. You want social sharing, as we talked about before. You want insider comforting information. You want the mission, the vision of who you are, what you do, and why you stand for what it is that you're selling for, who you serve. You want to list, again, related products. I've said that 3 times now because I'm telling you, having related products really changes the amount of products that are going into that shopping cart and the amount of money that's coming out of it. Let me tell you. External resources to pages, backlinks, which of course can help with any of that Google aspects. You want articles that are the state of your industry. You want areas of people to submit their own content for competitions and drawings, possibly. Again, these are ideas for planting seeds. A radio, a webcast, or a podcast page. Again, if it works for your business model, if you're doing that, don't hesitate and don't forget to add it in there. Again, a page for testimonials. If you can get video testimonials, as well as written, but videos really, really help with making the customers feel very comfortable about giving you their credit card and buying your products. And of course, case studies and interviews with people who have used your product. So if you have anyone who you know loves you and they rave about you and they sent you a message, say, hey, would you be willing to get on a Zoom call with me and just answer a few questions about what you like about our product? And you can repurpose that and reuse that with their permission, of course, to really, again, allow the new customers coming in to understand who you are and what you do. So now we're going to be talking about the checkout and the shopping cart or wish list page. So of course, you don't want to make a person create an account until after they place an order. We want to minimize the amount of barriers as much as possible because we want to capture them without making things annoying or painful or time consuming. You want to, of course, accept all payment methods as best as possible. So sometimes it's actually beneficial to have PayPal and Stripe on your website, because PayPal actually forces you to have an account to use a credit card. But Stripe does not make you do that. You can just put your credit card in and take the payment right away. So having those two options is very beneficial depending on who is buying from you. You're going to want to, of course, offer low shipping costs or free over a certain amount. Again, they're technically already paying for it, but it's how you position your offer is how you can get people to spend the money or more money and thinking they're getting something for free, or they're getting a discount, but they're actually paying for it anyways. That's always the fun part. Of course, you want to make a checkout visual with fun images. So the follow-up email that you're getting, you definitely want to make sure the images of what the person purchased is inside that follow-up email or inside that receipt, and of course on that checkout page. You want to make sure that they're secure with your payments, and you want to use all the seals that are able to be used, saying we don't spam you, we don't collect the information, we're totally secure, your credit card's safe with us. Again, they trust Amazon with their credit card, but they may not trust a little website that they just come in contact with. So do everything you can to position yourself as a trustworthy place to shop. Of course, you want to ask people to continue shopping after they make their purchase. You want to allow people to save their cart and their wish list for later, as we talked about beforehand. You want to refrain from asking for a survey response after checkout. You want to save that email for much later, because again, you want to create that feedback loop with your consumer, but you also want to create that credibility and that trust factor. So create a relationship first. Ask them how they're doing before you ask them to do something for you. Be curious about them. You're going to want to offer multiple shipping methods, 7 days, 2 days expedited, whatever that might be. And you want to split test everything. And sometimes even having an Amazon Pay button on your website can really help boost your sales, because again, people's credit cards are in the Amazon platform. They trust Amazon with their credit card, and they might like your product, but they may not trust your site with their credit card. So if you have an Amazon Pay button, they can technically pay you through the Amazon platform, which is pretty cool. So I know lots of people who do this. I have my clients do this, and it's amazing how we can get those sales and conversion rates to go up just with that one little trust factor. And continuing with that, we want to include an area to, of course, have your promo codes. You want to show people how much time they saved during checkout. You want to show approximate shipping dates of how long it's going to take for it to arrive. Any digital downloads that you might have, making sure you're talking about the personal information. Offer a sample if they're hesitant in buying. This is what we're talking about, your upsell and downsell. So if someone is looking at buying something, but they're like, I'm not really too sure, or they opt out of not wanting to do that after they've kind of clicked through, you can say, hey, well, instead of spending $20, how about this thing for $5.99? So you can test it out. It's a sample. See if you like it. You have upsells and we have downsells. We want to take advantage of every opportunity when we have them there at our site. And of course, if you have high ticket offers, financing options is absolutely wonderful. There's lots of companies out there that can support you and help you if you happen to have a high ticket offer. And usually that people can put high ticket offers with big training programs or $6,000 or $20,000 masterminds or whatnot. But if you happen to have a high ticket offer product, like furniture as an example, maybe people would love to have a financing options, just like as if they're walking into the brick and they're getting financing options to get a new table or get a new couch. So think about that. And of course, you want to always check out your checkout process. It's amazing how often sometimes things are totally working perfectly fine, and then something happens in the back end with one tool, and that one tool disrupts all the other connections and tools that are connected through Zapier or something along those lines, and one little thing breaks and then the whole thing kind of comes down. So no matter what, every single week you always want to make sure that someone in your company is going through all your pages, checking out your wish list, checking out your websites, and everything else along those lines. So the customer follow-up is super important. I think everyone understands that. Of course, you want to have the receipt with the price and pictures. Really, really important for them, especially because after a while of buying things, sometimes you forget what site you bought what on. You want to include links and hyperlinks in every single one of your pictures that takes them right back to that product listing again. So again, easy navigation and easy for them to share with their friends and family if they really love it. Of course, you're going to want to ask for a written review on your site or product listing. And of course, social media with a hashtag or a shout out or anything along those lines after you've created that customer engagement and you've got their trust and they know and they like you. And of course, a video, it will do so much more for you as well if you can get a video testimonial. And of course, you can offer discounts, you can offer incentives, you can offer contests in order to get people to try to play along with you and provide you this feedback. So that's kind of a little bit of the website A, B, and C and checklist. Again, you're going to have access to that a little bit later so you can really make sure you're not forgetting anything. So now let's move into the really important part after setting everything up, which is really making sure the customer understands what it is that you're selling so they give you their money. Because customers skim 80% of written content, but they will view every image. And I cannot tell you how important this is. And even companies that are doing $10 million a lot of the times are forgetting this exact fact, which is pretty amazing that they don't put a lot of time and energy into this, which is why they bring me in, because I train their team and let them know that, hey, you're leaving money on the table. So we're going to be looking at The Honest Company again, because it's a great e-commerce company. They got pretty much everything that we're talking about that's necessary. So as you can see, we have lots of arrows going through the entire page here. That's how many touch points we need to make sure that we're very clear about and we're articulating on all of our pages and our websites. So the very top bar is, of course, a promo. Then you have a search bar. Then you have their Honest Company logo. Then, of course, you have a sign in for their account where they have their wish list or save for later shopping cart. They clearly articulate all the different categories they have available. Right now, we are on the page that's for eyes. Of course, this is makeup. So they're clearly saying this is for eyes. And then they, of course, have a picture representing the eye. It's amazing how many people do not put pictures representing exactly what it is that they're selling. You want to make sure you have a sort box. You want to make sure that you're clearly highlighting what is the best seller. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, you want to have that carousel where if you hover your mouse over top of the image, the second image pops up of in use. So as you can see here, the first image looks like it's a mascara, white background, pretty boring, but they have their logos of their, saying that they're the best. They won an award. Again, credibility, authority, positioning, super important. But when you do hover your mouse over it, you see Jessica putting on the mascara. So in the white image, you're like, is that a mascara? Is that a lip balm? Like, what the hell is that? I don't really know. But when you hover your mouse over top of it, you can clearly see, oh, yeah, this is mascara. She's putting it on her eye. There is no way of screwing that one up, which is why it's so important to make sure you have that type of carousel image option. You want to clearly describe what the product is, of course. You want to have as many reviews as you can, but at least 1 4 or 5-star review for every single listing will make your listing have that much credibility, that much more authority, and trust factor with the consumers. So when you're identifying your ideal customer, this is really important when you're creating not only your website, but your product listing pages as well. So of course, we have our targeted audiences. And a lot of times we kind of dive into this a little bit, but then a lot of companies kind of get away from it. But really at the end of the day, you got to come back to it every single time you're launching a product, every single time you're making an edit or you're updating any part of your website or your listings or your product line. So you want to, of course, have the attributions. So these are some examples for everyone. So don't, bear with me as we go through them, but say this particular target audience is for female, they're overweight. And of course, they've tried a bunch of things before. They're between ages of 30 and 50. Of course, they're female, with kids, without kids. Where do they live within the US or within a particular state or within a particular province or a particular town? Really depends on who you're targeting and why you're targeting them. You want to really dive into their aspirational identity as well, because again, all this information will help you position your listings to sell more. So their aspirational identity, in this case, they want to have a healthy, slim figure. Their pain point, the products that they took before only works after 3 months. Talk about a waiting game. They feel confused, they're afraid to pick the wrong product, and nothing seems to work for them. So their problems actually are external, overweight, internal, they are worried that they'll make the wrong decision and they can't lose it. And then philosophical is they deserve insider secrets to lose weight, and possibly men have it easier. Again, depending on your particular audience. Is that true? Is that not true? We have to dive into it. Of course, the hook melts your fat off one bite at a time. So this is a particular food weight loss product that, it's a consumable. And of course, the outcome, what's the outcome after they are working with you, after they purchase from you, is be swimsuit ready all year long. So you want to use this information to help you construct your visual representation on your website and your social profiles, right? So if we know that it's a female overweight, then the person that should be in the images on your site should be a female overweight. That's the before. And then, of course, we can talk about the pain points. We list them here. They're worried. They're not sure what's happening. Maybe other people have it easier than they do. And then, of course, the comparison, the after is, of course, they're going to be swimsuit ready all year long, or they can lose weight one bite at a time. The before is overweight, after is, of course, they lost the weight. So as I mentioned before, people do not buy products online. No, they buy the pictures of your product. We mentioned this. They buy the pictures of your brand. The visual representation is one of the most important factors that you need to nail down as soon as possible. Because again, most people assume that when the customers come to them, they know how to use their product. They know what their product's for. They understand it. But 9 times out of 10, they don't. And if you didn't go through the educational process with them while they're there, while you've hooked them, while you have them captured, you're losing money. You're leaving it on the table. So one picture is worth 1,000 words. So since 1921, marketers have used images more than text to create advertising campaigns, as you can see here. Now that we're in a digital age, of course, that is going gangbusters. Like the content aspect since 2020 has just gone through the roof. I know everyone is like being bombarded with content right now, but really at the end of the day, your pictures are worth 1,000 words. And it's really, really important that we take what we know works, they've been using it for decades, and put it into the new age that we are in right now. And this is why it's so important. 10 years ago, we had a 15-minute attention span. Yep, maybe 15 years ago. The internet wasn't so prevy back then. You know what I mean? So we know that the average person now gets distracted, within 7 seconds. So you have 7 seconds to get them to what it is that you're offering them, get them to look at what it is that you're offering them, get them to understand what it is that you're offering them, making sure that you explain the who, what, where, how, why, when, that entire educational process in 7 seconds so that we can get them to make that educated buyer choice, put it in the shopping cart, and then pay. Right? So it's really important that we get the information out there as quickly and as easily to digest as possible, because the science behind it all, this is the stuff that I absolutely love, the buyer behavior, is the brain can interpret images from the eye in 13 milliseconds. Remember, we have 7 seconds, but it can interpret an image in 13 milliseconds. So imagine how much information you can get across in 7 seconds. Pretty amazing when you break that down, right? And it can process visual information 60,000 times faster than text. Whew, that was a tongue twister. So if you're putting up something that is an image and a text, the image is going to be interpreted like that, right? So I would love to know in the comments if anyone already knew this information. If you did, hats off to you. I absolutely love it. Let's talk about it because this is the funnest thing ever. And if you hadn't noticed, I'm hoping that this is like mind-blowing for you. So in this particular one, we're having a little bit of fun. Let me know in the comments, do you see a triangle? Right? Again, I can't see your comments at this very moment in time, but we're going to play along anyways. So did you realize that the boxes that you see in front of you actually have the exact same thing? The one on the left is clearly articulating in text form what a triangle is, and the right-hand side is a triangle. You can't screw that one up. But that's just how amazing and how quick our brain works and reacts. And this is why it's so important to properly position yourself online. So why is this so important to e-commerce? As we said before, product images help increase buyers' attention, trust, and conversion rates. As the listings photo count increases, the probability of making a profit also increases. The more images you have, who, what, where, how, why, when, the more money you're going to be making. Higher quality images are also correlated to more successful sellers. Again, put the money behind hiring a professional photographer for your photo shoots. You will thank yourself later for doing so. So what aspects of the product presentation increase customer trust and thus sales the most? Really, at the end of the day, as we said before, is the visual representation. What makes customers perceive a product image as untrustworthy? Less images with no information about the product, and basically lesser quality images. Grainy, they're really small, you can't zoom in on them, things of that nature. So if we're looking at some statistics here, we know this is pulled from eBay, and that, you know, it's a standard fact that visual content works better for retention. So if we have a slideshow, we have 14%. If we have a picture pack, 22%. Large photo, you know, again, around 22%. Supersized images, 29%. And then a slideshow, which means multiple images, one after the other, 37%. Super, super important. And again, we know that 20% of what people read, they're going to remember. 10% of what they hear, they're going to remember, but 80% of what they see, they're going to remember. So again, we want to create raving fans. We want people to be our ambassadors. So if you can clearly articulate the who, what, where, how, why, and when with your visual representation, it's much easier for them to remember that. And then they can very clearly explain what your product is and how your product works and who the product's for to their friends and family without hesitation. There's your ambassadors, right? Super, super, super important. So with online sales increasing daily, 2020 blew the roof of what online sales can do. And we're just going to continue to go up. The right images can give you that competitive edge because, as I mentioned before, even $10 million companies are not putting enough time, energy, and effort into each individual listing that separates themselves from their competition. So if you're doing it and your competition is not doing it, it's going to be so easy for you to easily disqualify your competition without actually having to do anything except for just doing a much better job of doing the work you're supposed to do anyways, that most people don't do it, and 9 times out of 10, they're not executing it. As I mentioned before, most companies put minimal amount of effort and energy into it. They don't invest in proper professional photographers. And when you don't do that, again, you're leaving money on the table. So a lot of people are like, okay, Ashley, why are images really that important? I get the science behind it. I get that we have 7 seconds, blah, 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 blah. But what does it really matter? Well, this is why it really matters. So we're going to look at some conversion rates here because this is what it is at the end of the day. We have 2 different factors. We have traffic. We got to send people to our website or to our product listing if you're on a third-party platform, say like Amazon or eBay or Etsy. But once they get there, what are we doing when we get there? We have to convert them. We have to convince them to buy, which is what we've been talking about this whole time. And here are the numbers to show you how easy it is to increase your sales and the money that goes into your bank account. So if we have a 10% conversion rate, it's 1 out of 10 customers are buying from you. So again, we're playing here 10 daily sessions, which is an average of, 100 daily sessions. We have an average of 100 people seeing your listing, which is pretty good. And you sell 10 units for $30 per product. So that's about a $9,000 a month if you have that consistency. But if nothing changes, the traffic stays the same, you're not putting on extra ads or any extra sales funnels or anything along those lines, no PR, no media, it's just all the same. Now we have a 1.5 people out of 10 who are going to be buying from you, which equals a 15% conversion rate. So now we have still 100 sessions. We have now 15 units sold because people are getting the information they need in order to make the purchase. Same price. Now it's $1,300, $500 in your bank account. And of course, if we double it, if we get 2 people out of 10 to understand what you're selling, why you're selling, how it can help them, the end result, now we're going from $9,000 a month to $18,000 a month, right? 9,000 to 18,000. And all it is just making sure you're clearly articulating what it is that you're selling in a way that humans' brains operate and work and the buyer behavior, what's going on with the digital age and the e-commerce space. So I don't know if anyone's seeing this and if they love this, but put in the chat like, woohoo, because it's pretty freaking amazing how you can very easily increase the money that's going into your bank account with tiny little tweaks such as this. And again, this is an example. This is what I do for my clients all the time. So with just changing out the graphics on their product listing, because again, we know people don't read, but they will look at every single image that's presented to them. This also goes for blogs. So if any of you are doing blogs and you're writing, and none of the pictures are explaining what's in that written content, people are not actually getting the information from your blog. So put some of that information into your images. It works just the same. So in this particular case, this particular product company, in the matter of a couple months, we literally over doubled, went from 19,000 a month on average. They were hovering at that point for over a year. And in a matter of a couple months of just optimizing their listing, the way we had just talked about right now, they were at 45,000. And by the next month, they're actually at 65,000. And again, this is also what it looks like when you look at the back end. When we first started, they had 8,470 customers. And by the time we are done working with them, we are now at 18,684 customers. And we went from repeat buyers of 553 to 1,218, which is pretty freaking amazing because it costs 5 times more to get a new customer than it is to keep the customers that you have. So if you keep your email campaigns out, if you keep them inside your social networks, you're engaging with your consumers, you make them love you, like you, trust you, you provide offers, you provide discounts throughout the year, it's so much easier to get those same people to come back and buy from you than it is to find brand new people out in the world of, I don't know where they're coming from, right? All right, so you want to tell a story with your images. As I mentioned before a few times now, as you can tell, I'm very clearly passionate about it. You want to, of course, answer the following questions within your images. You want to, what is the customer pain point? The before. Who is the customer for? What is the product? What is the product used for? Where's the product used? When is the product used? Why is the product used? How do you use the product? And the end result after using the product. It seems pretty self-explanatory, like, well, that makes perfect sense, Ashley, but do a lot of people take that information and put it in a format that the human brain can digest in 7 seconds? No, most people don't. So this is your full advantage. So the online features and benefits are very, very important to make sure that you're articulating. Now, on your website, when people are going to your website, they're there, they're in your ecosystem. The features and benefits aren't as highly zoomed in on, or they're not as highly optimized, I guess you could say, because you can have more images, more pictures, more information, more upsells, and you can create your, really what you want the people to know about your company on your website. But when you're on third-party platforms like Etsy, eBay, and Amazon, you have to follow their rules, and you don't have all the space and all the opportunities to do what you can do on your website. And when you're on third-party platforms, features and benefits is what wins or lose the sale. Because on Amazon, as an example, someone could be buying, binoculars, and it's $19.99. But there's another pair of binoculars that have a compass on it, and maybe they don't even know how to use a compass, but it's an extra feature that the other one didn't have, and it's for the exact same price. So if it's the exact same price and they're getting something extra, then of course they're going to go for the extra feature. So you really have to be careful how you're positioning yourself on which platform. So articulating the features and benefits is important, but extra important for third-party platforms. So here's an example. Features are characteristics that your product does or has. So for example, some ovens include features such as self-cleaning, smooth stovetops, warming bins, or convection capabilities. The benefits on the other side are the reason the customer buys the product or service. So for example, the benefits of some ovens to buyers include safety, ease of use, affordability, or in many cases, many ovens that feature stainless steel, which equal prestige. So here's some examples, some infographics. There's a whole list of them. I did not put them all here, but you have feature infographics. You have what includes infographics, before and after infographics, where the product's used infographics, and what's actually inside it, how to use it, everything else along those lines. There's a whole bunch more, as I mentioned before, but this is kind of what you want to be able to do when you're breaking down your different images on your website or even on your third-party platforms. Remember, the more images you have, the easier it is to convince someone to spend their money with you. So your product description, as I mentioned before, you really want to make sure that you have very clearly articulated. You want to bring in some keywords as best as possible. Every platform has different search term keywords that customers use to find your type of product. They all are very similar, but Google has a different sort of set of rules. Amazon has a little different set of rules, eBay, Etsy, so on and so forth. So whatever platform you're on, dive into that a little bit. Tons of YouTube videos that can help you out with that for free. So definitely dive in there, but you want to make sure you have your product title, your bullets, your description, and any of your images or videos that you're uploaded all have your company name, the product name. So again, it can get earmarked within Google as well. And so that's kind of like the website, making sure we have the checklist and how we can make sure whenever we get someone onto our website, we're doing everything we can to convert them, to make money off them, because that's really what it is at the end of the day. So outside of that, is there any other questions that we have by chance before I move forward?
Ashley, we do have a few questions.
Perfect.
Maybe we can cover a few of them?
Yes, absolutely.
So the first question, I actually asked it, but it was upvoted by 2 other people. So we'll go about there first. So what tool do you use to add a heat map onto your website?
That's a really great question. And what I'd love to be able to do is I'm going to grab all these questions and then I'm going to actually provide the links for you. So it's so much easier, because anytime you say a name, there's like a .io, there's something different between it. I don't want to confuse anyone. So I think the best thing we can do is we can collect all these questions that have specific websites or tools or features, and then we can just provide you a list. How does that sound?
That sounds great. So I'll just email you with the questions after, and then I'll get the answers and then pop it onto...
Yeah, we can upload it with all this other information as well. So we're making sure we're not missing anything.
Sounds great. Thank you. Another question that I have for you. So it is from a company called I Hear You. Will e-commerce be inclusive enough for deaf? And can e-commerce in sign language be an impactful business?
Well, that's a really great question, actually. And I haven't really been asked that. But being that we just talked about the visual representation and how imagery is so important, whether or not, if you can hear or not hear, obviously that's going to be there. If you're targeting that specific audience, having a video where someone is speaking within sign language is going to it's going to knock it out of the park for sure. So definitely add that. Like that would be a huge value add. Now, obviously, if your targeted audience isn't that, then adding that extra feature, I don't necessarily think it's really that important. But is there something else I might have missed in that particular question by chance? Because I really want to make sure I'm answering all of it.
I think that actually sounds like you. So the full question is, will e-commerce be inclusive enough for deaf? And can e-commerce in sign language be an impactful business? So it does sound to me like you gave a pretty full answer.
So definitely impactful. And if you do, as I said before, the visual representation aspect and video, of course, and video that has like the text that goes underneath it when someone's talking, again, you can use tools. I can do that for you instantly for the most part. That would be super beneficial for anyone who's in that space or not in that space.
Yeah, I would also add that Ashley just mentioned videos that have like subtitles underneath, and I think it would also make sense to always add subtitles if you're actually posting your video as ads on Facebook or on Instagram, because actually a lot of the users, they watch videos on mute, and only once you catch people's attention that they can click on like the sound bar. So
Absolutely.
do always add like a subtitle.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how many people are like on lunch breaks or they're watching where they shouldn't technically be having volume going. They don't have their headphones with them. So you're 100% correct. Absolutely.
Great. Thank you so much. And I also have a question for you from Rita. So Rita owns a small business. It's called signatureexperienceevents.com. I am trying to figure out how to add a gallery to my Weebly website so that people can see the products and tea boxes and gifts that I am selling. So I'm just wondering if you have any suggestions for like ways to add galleries and product galleries onto a Weebly website.
That's a really great question. I don't personally work with Weebly, to be quite honest with you. I'm not an actual developer, but the best place that you can go to get support really inexpensively is upwork.com, upwork.com. Again, we're going to add these into the questions so we can get all these links for you guys. So just in case if you missed that. But really at the end of the day, every platform has tutorials. So if you have the time and the energy to go train and teach yourself, either go into the particular platform and see what their training videos are. And outside of that, of course, you can go over into Google, into YouTube, and again, Google it there as well. So you can find some step-by-step tutorial videos that are within YouTube. And then outside of that, if you don't have the time or the energy, or like this is not your favorite thing to do, definitely don't be forcing yourself to do work that you don't like doing. Hire someone to do it for you, because you definitely want to make sure you're focusing on $1,000 hour tasks and get someone else to do the $10 an hour tasks. But Upwork.com is an amazing platform with like, literally, I think they have over 1 million different contractors for literally anything underneath the sun. And everything's transparent. They put all the money into escrow. If you do end up hiring someone, you can see all their testimonials, what people thought of them. Everything is there for you to find, interview, and pick the right person to get a small job, a monthly job, or a long-term job done. And they're, they could be international, which can also help you save some pennies as well.
Sounds amazing. Thank you for that. Another question from Kathy. So do you have any tips for a scent-based business? I make and sell aromatherapy bath and body products, and they sell great in person, but I'm having problems online.
This is where the visual representation really comes into play. So I'm going to play a little game with you here. What I would love for you guys to do, like maybe not right now because obviously we're having fun and doing some training, but I want you to Google Burt's Bees. Okay, go in and Google that. And then in the image, you have like the little tabs at the top, news and everything else. Click the image tab. So you're going to see a whole bunch of images that are representing Burt's Bees brand, products, so on and so forth. What you're going to really quickly notice is they rarely ever use any text in any of their marketing ads or any of their product listing images or anything along those lines, to be quite honest with you. What they end up doing, and here's a perfect example, is they're selling a lip balm. So instead of telling you what the flavor and the smell of the lip balm is, they have a cup of hot chocolate, pouring chocolate down into the lip balm case. And then outside of that stream of hot chocolate that's flowing, they have like little mint leaves floating around. So within 2.2 seconds, less than that, you know, by looking at that image that they're selling a lip balm, because you see the lip balm, and it's a chocolate mint flavor, right? No text needed. They use the visuals because no matter what language you speak, you know that that's, you know, mint and that's chocolate for the most part. So if you're selling bath bombs or herbs or scents or perfumes, use the visuals, right? We know that people engage more when they see smiling, happy faces, over exaggerated smiling, happy faces, especially when we're talking about product listings. So definitely go down that road. But how do you use the product? When do you use the product? Where do you use the product? What smells are in the product? So if you can create those visuals to answer those questions, you'll have a much easier job of really describing what it is that you normally do in, like, you know, farmers markets or in person or in stores, when you know, someone who actually knows this information can clearly articulate it to the customer. But when you're not there, you have to rely on your product listing to do the job for you. So get those images updated. And if you need any extra help, of course, we can help you get that job done as well. I'll share it. I have a little bonus at the end, so that this was going to help you as well.
The lip balm that you mentioned sounds amazing already to me. I would love to have that kind of infographics inside.
It's so great, you know, and it's really amazing. Like when you really look at Burp Bees, it's just like, this is pretty crazy. Like if they have something that has, like, there's this other one that I saw where they have like a half broken open coconut, and it's like the parachute. And then instead of a person on the parachute, it's like a strawberry. So, you know, it's like a coconut strawberry flavor. I'm like, this is so innovative. I love it.
It's really cool.
Yep, absolutely. Is there any other questions that we can dive into right now before we move forward?
And I think we have a lot. So maybe we can just dive into one more question, and then the other questions we can start to answer after the presentation too.
Sounds
so
wonderful.
What do customers think when browsing pricing and find base rate plus a bunch of extra costs, especially for service companies such as couriers? And this question is from Franklin.
Okay, so you wanted pricing strategy is a big thing, and there are actual experts out there that only and heavily focus on pricing strategy based on your targeted audience, your market, whether it's a service base or product base. So really, at the end of the day, it's all about positioning. And if, again, depending on how you're positioning yourself, if you're positioning yourself as a high quality product or service, a lot of the times the pricing doesn't become a negotiable factor. So I want you to think about like Gucci and Louis Vuitton, and Apple, they never go on sale and their prices are crazy high and people just pay it because they position themselves as a leader in the industry, right? But when you are constantly providing discounts, if you're constantly, you know, trying to get to the bottom of the barrel. So like we have this, what happens like on Amazon as an example, if you're a third-party seller, it's whoever has the lowest price. So you end up like having a bidding war going down. And whoever has the lowest price wins the buy box, which means if someone buys, that person has the lowest price, ends up making the money. But at the end of the day, you're putting yourself in a position of being lesser quality and really shrinking your profit margins. So if you happen to, you know, and it's also like your value proposition and how you're positioning yourself as to whatever it is that you're selling, you obviously want to make sure that whatever you're delivering exceeds the value of what you're charging as well. So again, that's positioning of the company, your mission, your vision, the products, the service, whatever that might be. But really at the end of the day, if I don't exactly know what your product is, but maybe working with a pricing strategist might help you position yourself appropriately for your market so that you can get what you need out of it and still keep your profit margin. So hopefully that kind of made sense and sort of tapped into your question there.
Yeah, I think I would also add that the question asked about having a base rate plus a bunch of extra costs. So I was also wondering if you have any suggestions or advice as to how to best communicate if you are actually having, you know, extra cost on certain things. Because I remember a few different websites that some actually communicate those extra costs better than others. And when they communicate it well, then I'm like, okay, I understand it. But if you're like doing a bunch of hidden costs and then only at the checkout page I see a bunch of hidden costs and I'm like, okay, never mind. So would you suggest any website that you see that are doing a good job at communicating that?
Yeah, I have to look for one for that particular aspect, but that's also like, again, clearly articulating on the product listing what you're doing, what you're getting. We talked about the taxes, we talked about the shipping fees, we talked about importation fees, depending on obviously where you're selling it. So obviously that kind of pulls into that. But at the same time, it's also how you position what you're selling. So here's a perfect example. If you have a base price and then you have like, you know, add on. So it's like, you know, Well, they look at Canada and the damn taxes. Everyone's like, oh, it's $20. You're like, okay, great. I have $20. Like, no, it's actually $20 plus tax. You're like, oh my God, I don't have an extra whatever those dollars and cents are. So it's very frustrating, especially if you are someone who's, living in a country or living in a place where the taxes are already included or not included. Like I spent 14 years in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. So the price is the price is the price, which is great. Oregon's the same way. All their taxes are included in their price. So if it's $20, it's $20. There's nothing else on top of that. So, when you think about that, you're like, okay, well, if you know that these extra fees are going to be in there anyways, just incorporate it into the base price. Like why add on these, why put other barriers in the way that can really derail someone from wanting to purchase you? So that's kind of like number one. Again, I don't really know what it is that you're selling, so this may or may not work. So take it with a grain of salt, of course, please and thank you. But yeah, so add those extra prices in there if need be. And the other thing as well is, I have one of my clients where she's absolutely making killing. She has a handmade product. She's on Etsy. And she's now at $250,000 a month, if you can believe it. She can't even keep up. She doesn't know what to do with herself. And all she did is every single product that goes through her shopping cart, she has an upsell. And the upsell is this tiny little box. And normally they charge, $5.99 for this like little tin container that has a little image on top of it. It's just a little add-on. It's a silly little thing that can hold the product that she's selling. Not really a big deal. But what she ended up doing is she ended up saying, hey, if you buy X amount, we're going to give you this box for free. And so, of course, the person gets it. They're like, ooh, I'm going to buy this. I'm getting this free thing because everyone loves free things. And by the time they actually go through the shopping cart and pay for shipping, technically they actually paid for the box, but they just didn't realize it because of the way she positioned it. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then I think we're ready to start with the presentation again, and let's go through the other questions right after the presentation.
We're almost done, so bear with me, everybody, because again, there's a million things that we can talk about in e-commerce. I'm hoping I'm, crossing some, checking off some boxes for you guys. And if not, please let us know and we can, figure out another way of doing this as well. But so here we are for the third-party platforms. Again, you're going to have the slide deck so you can go through it. But obviously, it's a no-brainer. We have eBay, Etsy, Amazon. Yes, there is Jet. Yes, there is Walmart. Yes, there is, Nordstrom's for super high-end, a bunch of other platforms. But these are the three main ones that it's easier for people to break into and get on. So, of course, if you are on your website and now you're going to be picking a new channel, you want to pick one channel at a time. Just like you want to pick, one platform to do advertising at a time. You want to dedicate yourself to it. You want to learn the ins and outs of it. You want to take action. Then you want to look at what it was that you're doing, get the feedback. Again, we're creating that feedback loop and how you can optimize what it is that you're doing, make it better, kind of become a master at it, really, at the end of the day, before you move into another one, because it takes a full dedicated time and energy. And every single distribution channel is almost like a full-time job to kind of get it up and going. So you really want to make sure you have the bandwidth and you have the capital and you have the staff, depending on which order that goes in, before you do dive into a new channel. So I guess we want to put those like little caveats there for everyone to please be aware. So each platform has its own rules, as I mentioned before. eBay, on the grand scheme of things, most people kind of consider it sort of lower end products or used products. Etsy is more of a handmade product, even though we know there's more than just handmade products on there now. It kind of got started that way. And then Amazon is more of the higher end products. And so here's some terms and conditions. Again, we're not going to go through all of them. If you want to go into these channels, I highly recommend you look into the rules of engagement, what you need to be doing, the fees, the costs, so on and so forth for that part to, make sense. Like, is eBay the right place for you to go? So of course you have your items price, you have your format, you have your category. eBay is a little bit more of a more simplistic thing when it comes to the pricing points. Again, you have percentages, you have, 30 cents per listing, you have, 2% maximum to $300 per item fees. So you just want to go through and tally up what's it going to cost for me to get on here and what the fees look like to sell my product. Because there's always a service fee. They have the platform, they have the shoppers. You want to get in on that pool. You got to play by the big boys rules, and you need to learn those big boys rules. You're going to get kicked out. That's really what it is at the end of the day. But you have to add up all their fees and make sure it fits within the profit margin of the products that you're selling. So, for Etsy, they didn't have a whole outline that eBay had. They have very minimalistic. It's, $10 per month. They have 20 cents per USD per listing for sale. They charge you for renewing listings, and they have a transaction fee of 5%. So again, look in to see what the fees, what it costs, and how easy it is to break into these channels and see if it fits for your model and your product that you're currently selling. And Amazon is, of course, the giant in this space. It's the largest marketplace in the world. And they're, of course, a little bit more expensive. But at the same time, people love Amazon. People trust Amazon. And it's a great place to go fishing for new shoppers, to capture them over in Amazon, and then drive them over into your website, into your social profile. So you can capture them on your email list to grow that billable asset, which, of course, adds value to your business at the end of the day. There's, of course, strategy behind all of that. We're not going to talk about that today. But for them, generally speaking, they have a $40 a month fee, just, of course, to be a member. And you definitely want to get the professional plan on that. If you are listing a product for sale on Amazon and you're shipping it yourself, they have a 15% referral fee. Pretty standard. And if you are sending your product into the Amazon warehouse and Amazon's handling all the logistics for you, all the returns and everything else, they start around 25% of their fees because, again, they're doing everything for you. So again, based on where your profit margins are, what type of product you have, so on and so forth, you can see if this is a good platform for you to be on or not. And again, there's lots of different fees for different categories. So please go take a look at Amazon's fee structure if this might be a platform that you're looking into expanding in. Again, FBA fulfillment fees, all that sort of there. So again, these are some screenshots, but if you go to their website, you'll clearly see everything and all the description between it. So every particular platform has a maturation period. Some are more strict than others, but you want to be prepared that it takes at least 3 months to kind of get anything done. Because again, you're learning the rules, you're setting yourself up as a new business, and you have to prove to them that you are a legitimate company and you're going to follow their rules and you're going to take care of their customers. That's the one big thing that a lot of people either they don't really understand or they completely didn't even realize. Amazon, they own the shoppers. The buyers, the shoppers are theirs. They're not yours. You are just getting the opportunity to sell your products to their customers. So you have to prove to Amazon that you're going to follow the rules, and you're going to take care of their customers. And creating a customer retention strategy, as I mentioned beforehand, is how you're going to be able to find the customers, the new shoppers on Amazon, pull them over into your social profiles, into your website, so you can capture their email and market to them thereafter, where they've now become your customer. But you have a maturation period to prove that you should and need to be on that platform. Because if you don't follow the rules, they kick you out and they ban you for life. And even if you are doing $1 million a month, sometimes they can still kick you out and suspend your account for silly things because a robot caught something. But that's when you work with an expert like myself, where we can help you make sure that you're not, stepping on the wrong, eggshells or landmines or whatever it might be. You want to minimize the amount of risk that's going to be there. But every single platform that you're selling on, even if you're on your own website, there's always going to be minimal, risks or molehills that you're going to have to overcome. But that's just business and that's just life. And if we have a good network, if you have good mentors, if you have good people within your circle that you have outreach to, that you can, bounce some ideas off of, you're going to be able to get through these maturation periods and understand the do's and don'ts very quickly if you really put connection and making sure you're doing outreach and really creating that safe space. And it's almost like a little bit of a mastermind group for yourself, or pay to be in a mastermind group per platform, will really help you get the job done and minimize any risks that you could very well be experiencing in your future. So when you are obviously on Amazon, before you kind of get into anything, as a perfect example, you want to focus on listing optimization, which we sort of talked about that when it comes to having keywords in your bullets and in your titles, which of course allows the robots to match your product listing up for when a customer is searching for it. Just kind of like Google. Someone searches for something in Google and Google's going to match the keywords that are in the blog post or in the product listing or on the website, and they're going to try to match you up to it. Of course, you want to have storyboard product images. You have to focus on getting your first sales. You have to, of course, focus on collecting reviews and adding videos, and then you can go into PPC, which are basically ad campaigns and or driving traffic from social profiles or email lists or anything along those lines. You have to set all the foundation up first, prove you're legit, prove you're going to follow the rules, And then you can start driving traffic to it by all these different types of means. And every platform has their own rules of engagement, but generally speaking, the 3-month maturation period kind of works for all of them. And it's just a good amount of time for people to put on their head of like, okay, I'm not going to be listing a product and making $1 million tomorrow. I know that this is a new learning curve and I'm going to be breaking into something, and I have to give myself the time to learn and to adapt and get into it without rushing myself. You really want to have that realistic expectation. All right, so building and leveraging customer feedback. Again, here's a little bit of a list that you guys can go through. There's a million strategies and a million things that we can do. We're not going to go through all of them, but really at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is keep the customers that we have. As I said before, we know that it costs so much more money to obtain new customers than it is to keep the people that we have. So let's keep the people that we have happy and engaged with us and create conversations and that feedback loop that we're looking for, so we know how to improve what it is that we're doing, or we know what new products we need to be developing because our consumers told us what they want and what they'll spend their money on. So of course, you can have a loyalty programs, you can do reviews in exchange for special discounts. That does not work for third-party platforms. There's lots of rules against that, but for your own website, you absolutely can. Of course, you want to have special features. You want to be able to sell gift cards. It's amazing how many companies don't sell gift cards on their own website. Why the hell not? You know what I mean? Like, someone might think that whatever it is that you're selling is awesome for their sister or their mother or whatever, and they don't know what the hell to buy them, but they know they would like to support you and your business. So why not have a gift card, right? Of course, promotions, thank them for their purchases. Using video CRMs are going big right now. You got Buongiorno, you got Warm Welcome. There's a few different platforms where you can literally send an email, but you record a video like, hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for the purchase. We really appreciate you here at blah, 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 blah. We really stand behind blah, 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 blah. And we like to support, building a well over here. And, 20 cents of, every dollar that's spent goes to support this charity or whatever it might be. And creating these tiny little videos that can go get blasted out to your customers where they get to know you, they get to like you, is really amazing for that engagement. And, it really makes them rah-rah you and become your ambassadors. So you show them where the product was sent to, of course. You want to give them options to, cancel the product. Obviously, that's kind of like a no given. You want to have tracking for their shipment. Of course, you want to have your order numbers. You want to have contests. You want to have surveys. You really just want to make customers feel really supported and really loved, and and that just really makes them want to come back for more. Like, it's not rocket science by any stretch of the imagination, but here's a list of a few things to kind of get yourself going. Don't take on too much. Don't try to eat an elephant all in one bite at a time for everything that you're going to do, and put a realistic expectation around it. Marketing strategies are usually a 6-month to a year endeavor for every marketing strategy that we do, sales funnels, ramping things up, so on and so forth. So don't expect to make it big within 2 days. Be realistic about your intentions and how long it takes to get anything done. And so, of course, with customer retention, you can build a community. I love it when you have a specific product that speaks to a specific audience and you really are focusing on honing in on helping a specific problem. Facebook communities are great for that. Drive the people in there, show them how to use the product, provide them support, provide them scientific background, bring in guest experts to speak to them. It's amazing what you can do. Once you create this community, then you can be like, do the ask method. It's like, hey, we were selling pink bottles. What do you guys think of having like ombre looking or, star, whatever, or crystal bottles or whatever it might be? And your community will be like, yeah, that's awesome. Or they're going to go, no, are you kidding? I'm going to not spend my money on that. And then you didn't spend a single penny on manufacturing or product development or anything along those lines. So think about how you can move your shopper from buying from you to now become a community, again, that ambassador. I keep talking about that because it's so important. It opens your dialogue. It creates the raving fans. Maybe you have a YouTube series that you can send them off into. So now you can start collecting subscribers on YouTube. And after a while, you can start making money on YouTube because it's a whole nother, income stream for you. Just think about how we can connect all these free platforms together and how we can engage the consumer that we have and how we can provide them more support, more help. And of course, video series or how-to series, challenges, 20 days to lose weight by XXXXX or whatever it might be. It's really amazing how you can really get your customers to just really enjoy working with you and spending money with you at the end of the day. Of course, same thing for Instagram, same thing for TikTok. It allows you to communicate with the customer, allows you to create those followers, allows you to create that authority. And it just really allows people to be within your ecosystem, because we know that on average, it takes 7 times of hitting someone with an ad, or not even an ad, but just letting them know that you are there and you're offering them a product or a service before they make a decision to buy. So if you only see them once, and they're not ready to buy right now, they're on a lunch break, they're in the bathroom, they're picking their kid up from school, or whatever it might be, you've lost the opportunity of, engaging with them. You have to hit them again and again and again and again and again. So getting them into your social profiles where you keep showing up with posts and videos and, how-tos and whatever, it just reminds them when they are ready, they can buy from you. But if you don't remind them, and if you're not within their ecosystem, then they're not going to buy from you. It's really that simple. I don't think that's rocket science. I think most people know that. But pick one channel at a time, just like a distribution channel, because it's a full-time job. There's rules of engagements, of ways of doing it, and you have to dedicate yourself to it. So don't overwhelm yourself, one thing at a time. So of course, why? So creating feedback loops, as we mentioned a few times here, is one of the most important steps. Loyal customers are 5 times as likely to repurchase, 5 times as likely to forgive if there's a mistake, 4 times as likely to refer, and 7 times as likely to try new offerings that you present to them. Because acquiring a new customer costs 5 times more than retaining a new one. We've said that before. And 33% of customers will consider switching companies just after one instance of poor customer service. Now, if that doesn't hit you, I don't know what else will. So really making sure that we're taking care of the customers in every way, shape, or form will really benefit us in the long run. So what is the next step? How may I help you guys a little bit further? And what I have for any of the business owners out there who are looking for, a business advisory package, I do offer a 20% discount for anyone who's wanting to do that. You can email me directly and let me know that you're part of this amazing community, and we can definitely dive down that. If you are a woman in e-commerce, no matter what platform you're selling on, we have a woman in e-commerce mastermind community, which is like an evolving summit. We get together every single week on Wednesdays. We have hot seats, and then whatever questions you have, I have over 25 guest experts and celebrity guest experts who also come in and answer your questions for you as well. And it's really amazing because it's a safe space. And for the women who are in the e-commerce space, I'm pretty sure you're very familiar with, sometimes it gets a little tilted with, who's in our space and who's doing the speaking and the teaching. And then, of course, for everyone here, whether you have a product or a service, images are important. I think you guys already know that. So I actually have a big system, but for today, we're going to give you free 4 product infographic templates. You just go to freeproductinfographic.com, you download them, you upload them into your free Canva account, and you literally within 3 minutes drag and drop your products or your product pictures or stock images that you might have that can clearly articulate who the product's for, the who, what, where, how, why, and when, as we talked about beforehand, so that you can update and get your product listings high converting as best as possible when you have a customer land there. And that's basically it for me. As you guys know, I use the visual profitability method. Oh my God, I can't even speak. It's all about optimizing customers' decisions. That's what I love to do the most. And we love to turn your product listings into a moneymaker with the traffic that you already have. And that's basically it for me, guys. Outside of that, I would love to get your questions. And I'm just going to stop sharing here in a second if I can figure out how to stop sharing.
Oh. Hi, Ashley. Are you still here? I think she might have clicked on the wrong button. 1 second. When Ashley is trying to get back, I'm just double checking to see if I need to invite her back. 1 second. Sorry. Let's see. Yes, I do need to invite her back. Okay, just invited. And while waiting for Ashley to come back and join us, I would also like to go through some questions that I can just answer you myself. So,
oh my God, technology.
Yes, Ashley is back.
Until it's not. Sorry about that, guys.
No worries. I was like, I need to reinvite Ashley.
Oh, so let's crack through some of these questions. I know I went through it fast, and I know there's a lot of information there, and this is only one tiny little sliver of the entire cake. So hopefully I was able to knock a bunch of things off for people, but let's dive into some of the questions that you have. I would love to dive into them.
Thank you. So I have the first question for you from Nicole. And do you have any tips for food businesses online, like baked goods?
Oh my gosh. One of my clients, I was just talking to them today, and they're breaking out, they make their own product. So technically it's handmade, and it's grain-free flour. So she's all about, enriching families' lives to have delicious food, but without, having to deal with allergies or, any of the sort of the chemicals that you're seeing. And so it's like, GMO free and all that other fun stuff. And really at the end of the day, when we prepared her for her Christmas aspect, we created bundles. Especially when it comes to food, we assume that everyone has all the crap that they need in their kitchen. But not everybody likes to bake. I don't like to bake. I absolutely hate baking, to be quite honest with you, because it's like time consuming. I got to follow the rules and I got to stay on point. And I'm like one of those people who's like, I don't have that, so I'll substitute to this. That's how I work. But I have a 10-year-old little girl who loves to bake. She'll put a YouTube video on, she'll follow it along. So we have a whole bunch of, things for her to be able to get the job done. But if you are selling a food product, like in the baking realm, creating a bundle of all the necessities to get the job done, it just makes it so much easier for the customer to be able to buy from you. And we actually launched that during Christmas time with one of my clients, as I had mentioned before, and she literally blew her sales out of the water. She never experienced such an amazing feedback because we also used infographics, as we had talked about before. So people understood what the product is, how to use the product, when to use the product, and all the different types of baked goods you can use with the product. And so she doubled down on the visual representation. Because again, you can't see it, you can't touch it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. So you definitely want to make sure you do that part. And then on top of that, providing, making sure that you remove all barriers of entry for the customer to be able to buy from you, i.e. that bundle pack of the piping and the little cookie cutters and like all the little things that they needed in order to follow a recipe. It went through the roof. So I highly recommend you look into expanding into something like that.
Sounds amazing. Thank you. And I would also recommend to have videos. I feel like whenever it's related to food, videos talk to me. If someone is like eating whatever you are teaching people to do or whatever you are baking, and then they have that face of, eating yummy food, I'm like, oh, I want to try that too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I like double downing on creating that secondary information channel, like the YouTube channel. Really, you're only doing it to create videos to educate the people. You put it up on YouTube, then you can put it into your website very easily because pretty much YouTube, or Vimeo can kind of go anywhere, right? But the fact of the matter is you started creating content and it's a completely different platform. And then after a while, you start getting subscribers and you start, hearing some feedback and you start adding more video content on the YouTube channel, even though you only have a few videos on your actual product listing. But then all of a sudden you start growing that following and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, I got some money coming in. And it has nothing to do with selling a product. I'm just teaching people how to use my product. So, definitely look into, growing that. And you're absolutely right. Food and videos 100% go hand in hand.
Sounds amazing. Thank you. I also have a question for you from Megan. Megan, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. So how do I market a business that offers more intimate items, for example, reusable feminine products, when I can't exactly take in-use photos or before and after photos? So we have great basic photos on our website, but I struggle to knowing what kind of content will be relevant to create conversion when image options feel limited.
Right. Okay. So I definitely need to understand a little bit more of what you mean by intimate. So I've worked with sex products. I've worked with.
I think Megan's company is focused on providing women with sustainable, reusable options for menstrual products.
Okay. So like the menstrual cups and stuff like that.
Probably.
Maybe something like that. I actually worked with a company that did that as well. It's amazing how many different bloody companies you end up working with after 10 years of doing this. Really, at the end of the day, you can get really creative with your visual representation. Now, when you're looking into, the intimate side of things. So when I was working with like the sex-based products, and hopefully that doesn't upset anyone when I say that. But really we were talking about lubes and, eco-friendly condoms and toys and things of that nature. Obviously, there's rules of engagement, even on third-party platforms like Amazon. You can't advertise these things. You don't really see them in Facebook popping up for obvious reasons. I think everyone kind of understands that. So what you need to be doing is content is absolutely king. And if it's feminine-based products, if it's kind of like the moon, I wish I kind of knew what the product was, but let's say it's like a menstrual cup. You can actually show like how to use it. Like, one, you can get a graphic designer on like Fiverr, super inexpensive, Fiverr.com, if I remember correctly. You can Google it, Fiverr. You can get people really inexpensive, lots of graphic designers there. And, or as I said before, Upwork.com. So you can have like, a drawing of how to use it or when to use it or so on and so forth. But even if it's a menstrual cup, you can have like red water. You know what I mean? It's just like, you can have like, again, I don't know if it's the right product, but just bear with me.
It's cloth menstrual products.
Okay. Yeah. So I was just going to say, you can literally have like a regular tampon, a picture of it. And then you can have bullet points. Like think of my infographic templates. You guys got for free them, download them, go get them. And you can have like the cloth, thing there. And then you can have like one arrow going, this one has like, X chemical, and this one is like non-biodegradable, like all the crap that that people who are conscious of having good products or bad products, you can kind of do that differentiating factor. And then on yours, the comparison factors is we have this, 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 and this, and this, or we don't have this, 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 and this. And of course, you see a lot of, again, look at your competition. Like, when you look at like the tampon commercials, they will show that when the tampon actually, I'm sorry guys, but you like the tampon, like when it is wet, so you can put it in a bowl of water, it makes this shape, or some of them make like, like a heart shape or whatever. Like you can show in use, like this actually stops leakage because it's this shape instead of this shape, or whatever it might be. You know what I mean? So you can really get creative, using water or colored water, or like no colored at all, but you can definitely do the story, like who it's for, who, what, where, how, why, and when. Like really at the end of the day, you can still break that down. And again, if you want to have, a business advisory consultation, you have access to that. So you can definitely reach out to me. We can work on that together, because that's the funnest part. I'm a visionary strategist. So like, this is the part that gets me all going. I'm like, ooh, what can we do here? How can we use a visual to say that? Because instead of writing the word house, have a picture of a house. Instead of like saying this is a product for a dog, have a picture for a dog, or like like a little paw print or a little bone or something, so we can definitely like figure that part out. But you definitely just want to make sure that you're clear and concise, and you separate yourself from your competition. So if you go, here's a perfect example. What I love for you to do is go over into Amazon, because there's tons of products over there. Find your competition that's on Amazon. Scroll down into the testimonial section or the review section. And I want you to look at two sets of reviews. I want you to look at the 1-star reviews and the 5-star reviews. Get a spreadsheet out on Google or wherever you have your spreadsheet. And I want you to read through, 10, 20 bad reviews and copy and paste the really important things that people are saying they absolutely do not like about this product. Then I want you to go into the 5 stars, and I want you to do the same thing and copy and paste what people absolutely love about the product. And whatever they say they hate about the product, but you don't have that, that's exactly what you put on your website or on your product listing or in your image. We don't have this problem like those other guys do. Hopefully that makes sense. Really separate yourself by looking at what's already there. There's so much information that's free to us, where most companies spend $10,000 to $20,000 to do market research to find out what their audience wants, when really it's actually free. They just need to pay someone to go through all the public postings of the opinions or whatever. So do that, and that will help you create that foundation for you to really differentiate yourself and get your listings up to snuff. So when people get there, they understand how what you're providing them is going to be a better option.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Ashley. We have 3 minutes left and 3 questions left. So these last questions we kind of have to run through.
All right, let's go.
So when it comes to a startup in the delivery industry and first year of operation is a pilot test, how sophisticated a website can be?
Okay, well, first and foremost, it's better to be done than perfect, 100%. So take that, need to be perfect completely off the radar. Just get yourself up there and get it going, because number one, that's a feat in itself, and pat yourself on the back. So all the power to you, go for it. But at the same time, now that you had the conversation with me today, or kind of watched the conversation with me today, I guess you could say, if you can do anything with your website, even if you don't have all that big ass huge list that I gave you guys, even if you don't have all those things, it's perfectly fine. What you do need to have is a listing that converts. That's it. You're selling food, you're selling a product, you're selling a service. If people they do not understand what it is that's going on, they're going to get buyer decision fatigue, and they're going to leave. They're going to go right to your competition because they made it super easy for them. So even if you're in your pilot stage, if all the bells and whistles are not there yet, doesn't matter. The only thing you really need to focus on is where the money's coming from, that fastest path to cash. And the fastest path to cash is the page that you're selling off of. So it's not the website, it's the product listing. And the product listing can be done a lot faster with a lot less bells and whistles and a lot less technological, like I got to put this tool in and this tool in and this tool in. So hopefully that helps you, get yourself off the ground and focus on what really matters, the low hanging fruit.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashley. I also have a question for you. What's the balance between creating promotions and discounts, especially for loyal customers, and not losing money because you've created so many promos and discounts? Is there a magic formula for figuring out how much products you can offer as a discount before you start losing money?
Well, we should always make sure that we're never losing money. You always want to break even, if anything. So whatever promotions you're doing, at least break even. Sometimes when you're first launching something, we do go into the red a little bit, and that kind of happens, but it's very short and, to the point. But the fact of the matter is if you follow up with that customer engagement and that loyalty program that I was talking about, providing like more support, more videos, a Facebook community, like all these things where you get in their lives and you become part of like their daily scrolling fact that they're always seeing you there. Like they're always, that actually minimizes the amount of promotions and discounts that you need to do because now they're friends, right? Like how many of you have business owners that are friends or family and you're like, that's my friend and I'm going to go support them. Think about that. Sometimes people who are friends with people and they go, you know what? I want a discount because you're my friend. And I don't really agree with that personally. Like if they're your friend, you want to give them as much support and as much juice as possible. So that, of course, they can hire the people and do the marketing and become bigger, but that still happens. So really at the end of the day, where that balance is really where your profit margin is and what's your sales velocity and how many products you're selling. So sales velocity, how often you're selling them, and then how many products you're selling within like a 30-day period or 60-day period or whatever that might be, depending on if you're going quarterly or whatnot. And you just really want to make sure that you are planning out a whole year in advance because we know that we have these calendar dates throughout the year where there's special times a year for promotions. If anything, those are the only ones that you really should be focusing on when you're providing discounts because everyone expects Mother's Day discounts. Everyone expects Valentine's Day, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Christmas, blah, blah, blah. So if you follow that calendar, that can minimize all those extra ones in between. And you don't have to follow the calendar either. There's no freaking rules that you need to follow. You can make your own rules. But if you can create that customer engagement and that loyalty with them, less discounts are necessary. So hopefully that helps.
Definitely. Thank you, Ashley. I have the final question here from Valerie. So will you be covering mastery for a business that offers a service as opposed to a product? And I think I would like to first kind of point you to our next sessions. The second one being on May 19th from 12 to 1:30. So at the same time as today's session, and it will be on the mechanics of digital marketing. So at that time, I guess digital marketing, you can both use it to draw traffic to a service site or a product site, all the same. We also have a third session on June the 2nd of this year from 12 noon to 1:30. So at the same time, and it will be on catalyzing online sales. And I think it will definitely apply a lot towards service businesses because you will have to be doing a lot of online sales. But I would love to ask you, Ashley, if you have any other suggestions or advice for a service business who's trying to sell online.
Man, service. Well, again, service business. I keep going back to the visual representation. Like that's my jam. I know it's like maybe not super sexy to some people, but I'm telling you, it makes all the difference in the world. And as I said before, people, we know that 65% of the human population are visual learners. The other side are auditory learners. And sonic branding is a big thing. And we're working on all this different stuff. I won't bug you guys about that right now. But for a service-based business, you look at Brand Story. Go to brandstory.com. Look at their website. They have a book that you can get on Amazon. They have training programs. We don't necessarily need that. But it's very clear and it's very concise. It is like the title, the value prop, the 3 offers that you provide. Very clear, very articulate, very niche down on who you serve and how you serve in the end result. There's not a lot of like fluff, I guess you could say, out there. And then each individual page, you can, of course, expand on a little bit more. But really, at the end of the day, if you are serving a business that is a restaurant, then pictures should be of restaurants and chefs and servers and whatever. So when people land on your damn site, they're like, oh, you help their restaurant business, or you help lawyers, or you help realtors, or whatever it might be. So if you can do anything, make sure the visual representation is showing up for the people you serve and how you help them, the before and the after. And then you're going to have so much easier of being able to clearly articulate, why you're better than everybody else once they book a call with you for the most part, because they got everything that they see You get your social proof, you get your, your PR, your media, or whatever it is that you're doing up there. Badges and logos are amazing. So I highly recommend doing the PR route for anyone who's doing that. Again, TV expert here or whatever. So go down that route, set yourself up visually, and then, look at the story brand outline to really make sure that you're toning it down. You don't have too much written crap, because we know people don't necessarily read. And videos, as you know, of course, are amazing. So, having that introductory video of who you are, what you do, and how you do it. And that can also really differentiate yourself as well as a service-based. But you're going to get way more than this from the experts in the next session. So you definitely should sign up for that.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for today's session. And I would also like to thank you everyone for joining us today. And Ashley, thank you for staying here for 4 minutes over time. I would
oh my
also
gosh,
like
so
to
good. I could talk all day long, by all means. Like, don't cut me off. We can just keep going and going.
I would also like to thank Valerie today for joining us from the Township of Langley. And I thank the Township of Langley a lot for helping us organize this event. And I hope that everyone found it helpful. I look forward to meeting you again in our second session in the next 2 weeks. And Ashley, thank you again for all the offers. We will be sending out the slide deck with the offers from Ashley to you tomorrow in your email. So do check that out.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. I love your questions. I love your enthusiasm. 10-10 for everyone who's on here. We got Franklin, we got Carrie, we got Kathy, we got Valerie, we got Megan. You guys all are amazing. If anyone needs anything, please reach out to me. I'd be so happy to support you. And other than that, it's May 5th. It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Enjoy the rest of your day. And, default to action. If there's anything I can say to anyone, don't worry about anything else. Just default to action, because that's where motivation comes from.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashley. Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Bye.
Goodbye.